And now, dispatches from the General.
All right, quick shout out to presidential candidate Andrew Yang, who randomly started following me on Twitter today.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Andrew Yang's fault? Did you hit him up?
No.
You're playing it cool? Well, I mean, you're bringing it up here.
Well, I mean, I assume he runs his Twitter account, and I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
That is awesome.
I like to think I'm an influencer, so shout out to the Yang gang out there on social media. It was
Good
kinda
man to
fun.
know, dude.
Yeah.
Did he tag Bobby Lee?
He did not. But I also have to shout out Bernie Sanders, Mrs. Jane Sanders, who started following me too. So I guess the more dumb jokes I tweet out, the more influence I have on social media. You think a Bernie Sanders roast would be fun?
That'd be amazing. Who do you support, Pauly?
Biden right now.
Biden? Really? You don't hear that often.
Biden it right now. Why?
I just think he's the one that has the most experience, and I think at the end of the day, you don't want anyone that is what's the word that's new to the game.
Right.
You know, at least with him, he's been in the game for a while, and someone just to chill shit out, I think.
He's not taking advantage of his seniority. Here's what I would do. If I was Joe Biden right now going into the Iowa caucus, he's watching his name get dragged through the mud all day long at this impeachment trial. They say like he's corrupt and his son Hunter Biden is corrupt. At the same time, the Republicans are trying to keep John Bolton from testifying, right? You know, the president's national security advisor who has all this eyewitness testimony to give, and he wrote a book. So if I was Joe Biden, I would say, I'm going to seize the moment. I'll volunteer. I go, if they can get Bolton to come in, I'll go in. Right. 1 for 1, tit for tat.
That's a good idea.
Right? I'll sit there, and I'll defend my family's honor, and I'll listen to the bullshit for a while, and then I'll tell all these senators that I've known my whole political life. He was a senator for decades. I would tell them all what a sham they're throwing. I would give them an ear beating. I would act like a boss. And,
I like that.
And I would use it. And I would use it as a leadership opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So maybe he should start following you on fucking Twitter.
Maybe he should.
Biden, if you're out there, follow Jeff Ross. I think this is a great avenue for you. It's a great platform for you. Everyone's staring at these fucking proceedings.
Yeah.
It's a great you know, right?
Make noise.
Yeah,
National. I mean, maybe he's playing it safe, but we all learned last time when the Clinton campaign played it safe, it didn't work.
No.
You got to take big swings. You have the notoriety, you have the resume, but you need to be looking forward.
Yeah. I think the problem with Biden,
you need to gamble.
I think the problem with him is it's 10 years too late. I think he's just got too many years. You know what I mean? Like every time he's about to go on camera, he's always got like a scab on his head. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude.
I find age when these president candidates, when they're older, I find that a plus. I'm way into the experience.
Yeah.
You know, at a certain point, these guys are. No one dies at 72. These guys, once you make it to like 70, you're going to 90.
Yeah.
These guys, I just feel like that's not a thing. So anyway. Also want to give a shout out to all the fans down in Miami. I'll be down there. Ed will be down there. I'm performing at the Miami Improv Friday and Saturday this weekend. We need Super Bowl tickets. Hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up.
Ed are going down there. We forgot to get Super Bowl tickets.
I'll buy beer.
But if you get tickets, if you guys get Jeff and Ed tickets, make sure they're not way up there tickets. Like, get them some good tickets. He's a superstar. Ed's a superstar.
Yeah. Thank you,
they want to. They want to be down there.
Say that.
They want to be down there close to everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So shout out. We'll be at the Miami Improv all weekend, and shout out to CB Live Phoenix. I'll be there the weekend after.
Yeah.
I love doing these shows, man. Love the Phoenix fans. I'll be in Phoenix all next week, this February 6th, 7th, 8th. Bumping Mike's fans, come on. Milwaukee, Chicago, Des Moines, Kansas City, Morristown. Back in Jersey, motherfuckers.
And this is the Bumping Mics with Pauly Shore and Jeff Ross, because David Tell's taking a month off, you said. I'm subbing in, bro.
We're going to be all over the place, including L.A. in the very near future, but nothing's confirmed yet. But we'll be in roastmastergeneral.com for tickets. These Pumping Mike shows are going to be so much fun. Holy shit. Dave is on fire, and I can't wait to see everybody out on the road. Those are my dispatches from the General, Ed. Let's start the motherfucking show.
Get ready for Jeff Ross. Do you have thick skin? Let's all come together.
Yeah. Hey, buddies. Welcome to Thick Skin with Jeff Ross. How are my eshes today, my emotional support humans? We are back in the bunker yet again. And this podcast is all about friends and family. I consider our guest both. Pauly Shore is on the show today, and we're going to pay tribute to all things Pauly. We're going to have a roast and peace tribute to the great Kobe Bryant at the end of the show. Ed has prepared some touchy subjects. Hi, Ed.
What's going on, buddy?
And all that is happening on this episode. It's weeks like this in L.A. where you really need the podcast. For me, it's cathartic. I was at the Comedy Store all week, and there's a glumness. There's a darkness. It was packed.
Because I wasn't around.
Maybe that was it.
I wasn't lurking the hallways. They're like, where's the fucking wheeze, bro?
It's the Kobe. It's the Kobe.
Yeah.
It's the Kobe cloud hanging over Los Angeles, and the shows have been packed, but you can feel an intensity, a sadness, hanging over the city. You know, I feel like people are walking around cranky, mad, angry, not knowing really why, taking it out on other people. So remember, folks, sometimes it's okay to feel bad. Sometimes it's okay to mourn, as long as eventually you mourn and then move on.
So this is going to be a mourn episode. I should have came here next week.
Why?
When
For the
things are
happy
so
one?
mourny. Dude, I know. I don't want to talk about Kobe. It's fucking sad. People are like, Kobe died, and I'm like, no, he didn't. You know, I just say that he didn't die.
I just can't help it. By the way,
I know.
it hits me harder than most people for certain reason.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, what was your relationship with him?
Well, he owed me $2,000.
He owed you $2,000.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to see
No,
that
you'll
money
never
again.
see that again.
So
God.
it's really
Yeah. I was watching the Sports Center, and I heard what was his name? The dude that's on the Clippers. What's his name? They got the #1 player.
Chris Paul?
No, he's not on the Clippers anymore. That's fucking. He's on Oklahoma.
Blake Griffin.
No, he's on Detroit. No, the guy with the cornrows, that #1 player. Not Latrell Sprewell, the other guy.
Okay.
The guy fucking, what's his name? He was on Toronto. He won the best player of the year.
We're running out of tape, Pauly.
DeAndre Jordan?
No, dude. Come on. That's the Clippers from years ago.
You sure you have a story about this guy?
Yes, I do have a story about him. Fuck. Anyways, so he was on there last night, and he was talking that him and Kobe shared the same helicopter pilot. So he was always, he dropped one off and dropped it. He actually said this pilot was one of the best pilots. But then I had this other friend of mine that flies these type of helicopters out of Miami, and he says you should never fly with only one pilot. But I assume that they just had one pilot on these particular types of helicopters.
Yeah.
So
sounds like this had something more to do with the fog and the equipment on board. It was a very foggy weekend in California.
Yeah.
Especially where he was. Like, it's crazy out there. You can't even see 4 feet in front of you.
So as hard as it is, at the end of the show today, we will do our roast and peace tribute to the great KB Kobe Bryant. I love Pauly Shore, folks. You know him from his hit gigantic movie career, Encino Man, Son-in-Law, In the Army Now, Biodome, couple others.
Fun movies.
Guest House comes out this summer. Is that?
It comes out. It'll be coming out this. Probably the fall.
That's
The
great.
fall.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
And perhaps most important for today, right now, since we are celebrating life It's Pauly Shore's birthday this weekend, so happy birthday, Pauly.
Yeah, and I just have one gift that I want from you for my birthday.
Yes.
I want you to
Anything
get rid of Dave Attell and the Bumping Mics, and let's me and you go on a Bumping Mics tour.
That is such a small request. No problem. You got it.
I think your followers and your supporters should chime in and say, "Do you want Pauly Shore on the fucking Bumping Mics?"
Why don't you get your own bumper? What do you need?
No,
me
I want to
for?
be next to you, dude.
Come on, bump it. Podcast.
I want to
bump.
be next to you.
No, I mean,
no, that's your guys.
We love bumping mics, and we love doing it at the Comedy Store. For people who aren't on the LA worldwide comedy scene, Pauly Shore is part of a legacy of Shores. His dad was a great comedian, Sammy Shore, who was a friend of mine, super funny guy, and his mom was Mitzi Shore, who was a great gatekeeper and a mentor to so many comedians going back to the 1970s. Yeah. So Pauly, the spawn of all that.
Dude, you're like Larry King, bro. I didn't know it was going to be like this. This is the whole thing. I thought he's going to be roasting me the whole time, okay?
And Pauly is not only a comedian, but he's a great sport. And one of the few people I know. Most comedians, when they start out doing comedy, they fail at other things. They've been through law school. They've had a couple of failed marriages. Pauly Shore started doing comedy as a teenager.
I was
at
like
17.
the Kobe Bryant of stand-up.
Right.
And I'm the one who should have died.
They recruited you out of high school.
Yeah, yeah. He made it. He didn't make it. I'm still living.
Well, lucky for us, you can't afford a helicopter.
There's my roast. There you go. Finally. I started at the beginning of 12th grade.
Breaking news. Actor, comedian Pauly Shore dies in bus crash.
Short bus.
Oh.
Yeah, so I started at the beginning of 12th grade.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. And here's a question. We have so much I want to ask you about, but your mom ran a comedy club and your dad was a comedian, which is a remarkable upbringing, and I had none of that. So here's what I'm curious about. Which do you think was the bigger influence that directly led to you being an entertainer? The fact that it was in your blood because of your dad, or is it because your mom exposed you to some of the best in the world, from Sam Kinison through all the greats, Robin Williams and Pryor and David Letterman and Howie Mandel, and right through today's major acts? But back then, you were seeing the best of the best while they were still working out. So do you think it comes from your DNA, or does it come from your life experiences?
I think it's a combo. I mean, I think, my mom, had the was it the drive and and she was so hardcore. You know what I mean? She's like a fighter, and my dad's just fucking funny. So I don't know. I think it was a combination of both. Is that's and yeah. So I think it's a combination. I always call myself like the Frankenstein of comedy. Yeah. You keep dropping shit. What the fuck's going on? I call myself like the Frankenstein of comedy. Like I got it from both sides. I got part my mom and part my dad. So I think
and then part from the
Argus,
from Sam Kinison and Red Fox and Ollie Joe Prager and
Ollie Joe Prater was best friends with Argus Hamilton. Ollie Joe Prater was this kind of overweight Texas comedian. He had a cowboy hat.
I see his picture in the hallway at the Comedy Store.
He had the best 45 minutes I'd ever seen in my life.
Really?
Oh my God. He used to go, I did some acid the other day. I went up in this girl's waterbed. I said, baby, you got a nice ass, but let me out of here. You know what I mean? But he did, but within ask Argus, like every 5 seconds was just punchline, but never changed it. Really? He never changed his act. It was always just 45 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. He'd kill. He was great. He used to babysit me.
You have a good memory.
Yep, I remember. I remember him. My mom always give me the comedians, so she'd give me to Ollie Joe Prater, take me down to La Jolla Club.
There's a La Jolla Comedy Store.
And he used to live in his car.
Right.
So he'd have tons of clothes in his back seat, and they'd be piled up. So that doubled as a bed for me.
Wow.
In the back. You know what I mean? So
This guy, Ollie Joe, lived in his car?
Yeah, he lived in his car, all his laundry and shit. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, so he had all his laundry in the back, and he'd take me down to La Jolla, and I used to lie on the laundry. And I remember Go-Go's was my favorite band when I was in the 80s, and I had Our Lips Are Sealed.
I love that song.
And I'd always play it. I'd listen on my Walkman, and I would scream and sing it. I would say, I would sing the song, and he would scream at me to shut the fuck up. And you know what I mean? I'd purposely piss him off. It was so much fun. Then there was Angel Salazar and Jackson Purdue. It just keeps on going.
So you'd see all these comedians.
All my family, you know.
Now, who was the first person who said, Pauly Shore, I think you should try this? Let me preface it. I grew up in the catering business, and I worked in my dad's catering hall, which was also his dad's before that, and my great-grandmother Rosie's before that.
Wow.
Right? So here I am, 6, 7, 8 years old, rolling meatballs, 12, 13 years old, working the parking lot, eventually working in the kitchen, feeding the helping the chef. Like, it was sort of in me. So at some point, it was expected that I would go into that business, but I didn't necessarily have the talent to be a cook. I probably could have been good at the party planning part of it.
The eating part you're good at. You're really good at that part, and you look like a meatball, so go on.
All right, poke the lion. Why don't you?
Go on. You're wearing a Weasel shirt, dude.
I know. It's one of my favorite shirts, and I didn't even know you were coming when I put this on this morning.
Perfect.
And
it's a comfy shirt, right?
I have this one, and I have your purple one from your birthday.
Oh yeah,
I love your Pauly merch.
My merchandise brings a comfortability to people. I give these shirts to girls, and they always text me, "I slept in your shirt. I love it."
How hot is that for you?
It makes me feel good, you know.
You should get a mesh jersey. Do you have that?
A mesh jersey? No.
That would be great.
That would be good because you've worn that in the movies.
Okay.
A Pauly mesh jersey.
Yeah. So go on. So about your saying.
So who said, was it your mom? Was it your dad? Was it one of the comedians, or was it inside yourself? It's like, you know what? I'm gonna walk from the back of the room to the front of the room. I'm gonna go on that stage for the first time. And where was it? Where was your first time?
My first time on stage was the Alley Cat Bistro, and my dad took me to my first time on stage, and it was a restaurant / comedy room that night in Culver City. And my dad took me there because he was friends with the owner. And
he was nervous for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Your dad was funny. Sammy Shore had this bit where he'd be in the audience, right? And he would start heckling from the audience and then come up like impromptu. I did a couple Friars roasts.
Oh, wow.
He'd start heckling, and I'd be like, Sammy, come say hi. And he'd come up, and he'd have this whole thing prepared.
Oh, wow. You did Friars roast with him?
Oh, yeah, man.
Wow.
I knew Sammy well.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys were really close.
So it was your dad that brought you to this club?
Yeah, he was friends with the lady that owned it and said, you know, can my son go up?
But you had to know that what the work that went into it. You couldn't be the guy that would go up unprepared. You knew what went into being a stand-up comic. You were seeing it every night.
I was just trying to figure it out. It's like
right.
kind of like figuring out how to write a fucking script. Like you can go to school for it and all that shit, but until you start doing it.
Right.
So for me, I was just trying to figure it out, you know, and all my ad-libs, like my jokes didn't get the laughs, but my ad-libs got the laughs. And then from there, I started kind of writing more towards that.
So you knew that your personality could be funny.
I don't know if I knew anything. I was just, that's where the laughs were coming.
You were watching these big personalities like Sam Kinison and these over-the-top characters. And
it's different, though, when you're physically on stage.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can watch as much as you want. But until you're physically on stage, it's like it's like I've somehow carved out my own cadence and my own style and my own kind of.
And no one's really copied it.
No.
And it's pretty amazing in that respect.
Yeah. So.
Maybe nobody wants it. Hey,
that's
buddies.
the second roast joke, finally.
Hey, were you the Weasel right away, or did that evolve?
No, it kind of evolved. It was kind of like an accent. It was almost like a cherry on top of the cake. It kind of accidentally kind of happened on MTV. Yeah.
Because the first time I saw you, I was a writer for MTV. I think I was working on like MTV Rock and Jock or something. I was in New York. I had an office at 1515
As
Broadway.
my mom would say, "Oh wow, that's great."
And you know, it was like a big thing for me to get a writing job at MTV because I was such a big fan of MTV growing up and rock and roll, and that was kind of it. There was not a lot of rock and roll meets comedy outlets to even work.
Yeah, Rock and Jock was a big deal.
Yeah, and the
you're a writer on that.
I was.
Was that with the Tommy Lee and Roseanne?
Tony
episode?
DeSanto was my producer, and I wrote for Red Johnny and the Round Guy, hilarious comedy team starring.
Where are they now?
Tim Regan works. I believe he runs a factory in Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
And John DiMaggio, Red Johnny, does a lot of huge animation shows. He's on Disenchanted on Netflix right now, the Matt Groening show, and he's Bender on Futurama, and he's on about literally 100 animated shows. He's crazy talented and a good guy. Man, what a life, Paulie. And did you love it right away when you got up there?
Yeah, I mean, it was like trying to figure it out, but the more I did it and the more I started figuring it out, the more I realized this is where I need to be. And
your dad was encouraging. Was your mom encouraging?
Mm.
See, I'm jealous. I never had any of that. My parents were long gone before I started comedy.
You told me that.
So
I remember one thing.
I look at you with your parents until their 80s and 90. Your dad, and I look at it with just, you know, not a bad jealousy, but an admiration, a jealousy that, wow, you really got to enjoy your parents, and they got to enjoy your success for so long.
Mm-hmm. When did both your parents pass when you're early?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How?
My mother died from leukemia when I was 14, I guess.
Oh my God.
My dad had a cerebral hemorrhage from doing cocaine when I was 19.
Wow.
Sophomore year in college.
Wow. How does that make you feel now? I mean, several years later, it's still like...
I never got too down about any of it. I went immediately into survivor mode. You know, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I said we're supposed to mourn and then move on. And I immediately assessed the situation with my sister, and we had such craziness to deal with around it. With her going off to college, I was in college. Neighbors trying to adopt us. We thought it was so funny, like we would ever live in someone's house at that point.
You guys are like 19, right?
My dad had 10 grand in cash hidden in the house somewhere. We went through that in 2 months, and just between the funeral and eating and paying the gardener, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't collect on a lot of his life insurance because he lied on his applications about smoking. So we got into these awful legal arguments with insurance companies. So
why? Because if you're a known smoker, then you try to collect insurance, you're not allowed to get it.
If you're trying to get insurance and you tell the application you don't smoke, and you die within a period of contestability
from smoking, or
no, he didn't die from smoking, but because he lied, there was a technicality. If I had fought it, if I know what I know now about how to fight stuff, I would have been able to collect. This was $400,000 in the 80s. I would have been rich. Wow. You know what I mean? So that was a really tough time, but it made me tenacious. It made me have to keep going, you know? And,
yeah, become more of a fighter. Yeah, you're on your own.
And being pitied or pitying myself was so uninteresting when I could just pick up a guitar and be in a punk rock band or
How
whatever.
do you feel like when their birthdays come or during the holidays, it doesn't affect you as much?
Father's Day and Mother's Day hit me hard. Their birthdays come and go. I don't even know when they are anymore. I mean, if I hear the date November 3rd, I go, yeah, that's my dad's birthday. But
you don't put it on your social media. Hey, here's to my dad.
No.
Da 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 da.
No.
Rest in R.I.P.
Yeah. No. I don't dwell on it for some reason. It's also so long ago, and you know, on Mother's Day, I'll text with my sister a little bit. I'll call my aunt. You know, stuff like that. But
yeah, because I see pictures of you back east a lot at your parties.
Family parties.
Family parties.
So, you know, as I became more
Invite
settled,
me sometime to one of those parties.
I'm sure they would be thrilled to meet
you. I would
you.
love to be in one of your Italian parties. Are they Italian?
I got Italian relatives. I got Chinese relatives. I got Jewish relatives.
Well, next time you have a big party back east, invite me. If I'm around, I'll come in.
That'd be great.
You know, and there's a whole bunch of you guys.
That'd be great.
Like you have a big family.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Every summer, I rent a beach house at the Jersey Shore.
Oh, wow.
For like 25 of us.
So that's the party that I see?
Yeah, one of the big ones, yeah.
Tell me when it is.
You can come. You can sell some merch. It'll be fun. My family would love a great Red Fox story.
Yeah. So I was very, very fortunate that both my parents were alive when I made it. And
cool.
It was really, for my mom, it was really, really hard for me to be accepted by her. Really, really hard.
I can't imagine.
I mean,
your mom was really tough on comedians.
Oh yeah, it was a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, my first time on stage, so I stayed away from the store for the first 2 years. So it finally was time for me. I got 6 minutes. I'd been to I'd been to Catch in New York. I'd been around. Me and Faison Love became best friends. We toured around New York, and I was working the Alley Cat Bistro. I'd work Laugh Factory.
So you're 17, 18, something like
around that time. So for like 2 years, so finally I was 19 years old. I'm like, all right, I'm going to showcase for my mom.
Now people should know, in case they don't, and we have talked about your mom on this podcast before, in terms of the power in Hollywood for comedy. Mitzi Shore was it. I mean, she was so incredibly revered, she could make or break people. There's still some huge mega comedy stars that have bitterness towards her because she wasn't supportive, or she was so hard on them that they didn't quite get why she was trying to make them better. I never heard a story where she would dismiss people and go, "You haven't just." She would push people, and if they came back, it was a good sign that maybe they.
Well, if she liked you, you could park the cars or answer phones or something. That was like a good thing,
right? So
how
after
did I
all,
do it? You go get the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So eventually, after a couple of years, you were like, "I want my mom to see what I'm doing, and maybe she'll put me on stage at the Comedy Store."
Yeah.
How did it go?
So I said, "Mom, I'm going on stage." I said, "Come see me at the Improv."
Had she ever been to the Improv?
So she came down to the Improv because she wouldn't let me on her stage. So I had to perform in front of her at the fucking Improv with her and Bud. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be funny though. Bud Freeman, Bud Freeman's son Ross.
Yeah.
We went to high school together. Yeah. So I would used to see him, and this was at the time when Bud Freeman and Mitzi Shore were at fucking war.
Right.
Like fucking gnarly war.
Right.
And I used to see him, and I always fuck with him now. It's hilarious. And we used to have this kind of bitterness towards each, and also his other daughter, Zoe as well.
Yeah.
It was always kind of like weird.
Yeah, well, Zoe was more in New York.
Yeah, they were.
Then.
Yeah, but they were like, my mom and Bud were on the cover of, the LA Times. The comedy war continues. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So, anyways, a
lot of rivalries between the clubs in LA.
Yeah, back then. And now, so it was time for me to go in front of her, and it's in the OR. It's on a Monday night. All the comics are in the back. They're like, "Oh, Mitzi's kid's going on," and they're fucking holding their arms together, like, "What the fuck is this? This is terrible," right? And then my mom is sitting next to Paul Mooney and Louis Anderson.
Wow.
Yeah, because she would sit there in her booth,
Right.
Not the one straight to the back, but the one to the right.
Yeah.
She'd sit there and she'd be like, "Who's
Mitzi's
next?
Booth, yeah.
Who's next?" Paul Mooney would be like, "Oh, Paul is, oh, fuck. This is bullshit. Why are you doing this to me?" So then I did my show.
Was that Louis Anderson?
Yeah, right.
You said it was Paul, but that sounded more like Louis.
That was my mom.
Oh.
and then I do my show.
Do you remember any of your jokes?
Yeah, Paula, you're from Beverly Hills. You're a rebel without a condo. Man, you're a Mexican, mailman, black, Gardner Japanese. The day at my house, day at the DMV. So I did my jokes, yeah. I don't really remember all my jokes, but they were kind of like a little shticky. Not that good, you know what I mean?
Did you start writing yourself at all?
Oh, yeah, eventually, yeah.
Because I see you work very diligently, people can talk about comedians like, "Oh, we make it look easy," or their jokes write themselves. I see Pauly working out new material all the time at the clubs, just like we all do. There's no, you can't hide behind your fame or your personality, as a comedian for more than a minute or two before the audience goes, "Wait, we just paid all this money." Yeah. And your audience is particularly enthusiastic, and I know a lot of the guys you take on the road, and they always tell me how you sold out this show, you added a show in the Midwest, and you're like, a lot of people say you're like a flyover comedian. Like the people in the Midwest the all around Americans, the all American people. They love you.
Yeah, I love it.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's my heart and MTV. I think that's where it all started. I think they connected with me back when I was on MTV. Until then, since then it still hasn't changed. It's just as much now as ever. When I travel, it's constant. Black people, gay people, white people, this people. Hey, oh my God, oh my, you know what I mean? There's something, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is, but to this day, I'm like, everywhere I go in America, it's like constant love. I
saw
feel
it
like
right, yeah.
heart, just heart.
People do get happy when they see you. And the first time I saw you, I was, like I said, a writer for MTV. This would have been the early 90s. And you had just gotten your Totally Pauly show on MTV. So you were the Weasel, and you were sort of like this weird spawn of Sam Kinison and Hollywood coming to New York. And no one had really seen you except for your MTV show. And, you know, that was just getting going. But I immediately recognized that this guy is different. You know, I was young myself, but I was like, wow, there's like an openness to your comedy where a lot of comedians back then were sort of like, I don't know, sort of closed off and very tight and rehearsed. And their characters were, you know, I don't know, maybe Dice is a good example. You weren't going to walk up to Dice on the street and hug him. Yeah. But with you were this other thing, this more welcoming, healing kind of thing, which people got into. And it wasn't that it was smart or dumb. It was just sort of friendly. And when you can get people on an emotional level like that, they're gonna want to follow you. Pied Piper. You're a little Pied Piper for teenagers, for people. Don't forget, MTV was still pretty new. You know, it was within 10 years old probably. So there was a lot happening all at once, bringing comedy into rock and roll, and that's sort of where you sort of picked up your reputation and all those fans that then pushed you into a movie career. And look at you now. What is it? 3 decades later, still working, Pauly. Yeah. You could have retired.
Yeah. I just love it.
You could be flipping houses. You could be owning comedy clubs, all the stuff. You're an expert on a lot of stuff, not just comedy.
Yeah. I don't know. I just love making people happy. I don't know what it is. It makes me happy to make people happy. And, you know, that's why I hop on the plane. I fly coach 99.9% of the time.
To make people happy? No, because you're a man of the people.
Yeah.
Why waste money if you don't have to?
It's first class unless you're going to fucking Philippines or fucking, you know, and you're going, it's like, I'd rather sit with my guys almost, you know what I mean? My openers, and we all sit back there.
Right.
You save a little money. We're going to save $400 or $500. It's not a big deal. But there's something kind of cool about that. And you know, and it's, you know, for me, it's like I go on stage, I do my show, and I always tell the guys after the show, or I tell my guys that open for me, I'm like, look, I go, it's important that these people see a really good show, but it's almost more important that they get to meet me and take a picture with me. So let's not fuck that up for these people. And I think that is like my come from. And when I sit there and they all walk up to me and I see their eyes, the shit that they say to me it's still to this day gets me. I mean, some people, I don't want to say, but some people just say like really like heavy shit.
Like I was in the hospital and I saw son-in-law and I laughed with my dad and
that's
those kind of stories. Yeah, I get it.
It's like, and that's the shit that keeps me fucking going, dude.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? And the fact that I've connected.
My grandma and I watched In Your Army Now, and she dropped dead halfway through.
But
I was watching Biodome, hoping for a shooting in the theater. I'm teasing, but I get it. I get it. You have a real connection, and I see it at the Comedy Store, and I see how the comedians, you know, they respect you because you've paid your dues and you've been around, man.
Yeah, that so the Midwest and in the middle of the country is a special place for me. It's a place that Sam Kinison introduced me to when I first started. My first tour ever of the Midwest was with him.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Sam Kinison took you on tour?
Yeah, for years I opened for him.
How did I not
I
know
opened
that?
for him at the Wiltern Theater. I opened for him all across America.
Wow.
Yeah, you know,
And
he
did
took. Yeah, he
the
took me-
audiences. How did they accept you?
It was interesting. No, it was interesting.
Well, how much time would you do?
I would do like 20 minutes or
Were
so.
you famous?
Not really, no.
It was before MTV.
Yeah, it was right before MTV.
So you were like 20 or something.
Yeah, I was like, it was around 20 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
I didn't even start comedy till I was 23. What a head start. I'm always jealous of people who know that they want to be a comedian
Right.
as a teenager.
Yeah.
You got recruited out of high school just like Kobe. That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, touring with Sam. I mean, he was the one that took me to Peoria, Illinois. I'd never been to Illinois. That was his hometown. You know, this is the hometown of Richard Pryor and Sam Kinison. And this was my 21st birthday. And he takes me to Big Al's on my 21st birthday, which was a very famous strip club in Peoria. And Sam Kinison was like the king of Peoria because this is right after he made it in the late 80s. And he handcuffed me. You know, the management handcuffed me to a stool. And they said, we're going to bring out the most prettiest stripper for you. And then this 400-pound stripper came out. And I have Polaroid pictures of it still to this day. So it was just, for me.
Who in Sam's crew had the Polaroid camera at head?
No. It was a strip club.
Oh, so they had a Polaroid?
Yeah. But it was.
Imagine nowadays if you brought your Polaroid into a strip club. Hey, it's Sheila on the main stage.
But he was Sam was quite a guy, you know. He wasn't an attractive guy, but his comedy was so smart and good and funny that made him more sexy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Was his comedy smart? I've never heard people say that. It feels like it was guttural, like it went to to your core because he was talking about relationship stuff that was painful.
I thought some of his political stuff was pretty smart.
I guess I wasn't as familiar with that stuff.
Yeah. He was, dude, like literally, like he was the fucking guy for those 5 years. I mean, every comic would sit and watch him in the back and be like, holy fuck. And his cadence and the way he worked the stage. I'm not talking about his specials. I'm talking about at the store. You know, there was a time where he had Sunday nights at the Comedy Store. My mom gave him there, and it was always rock and roll. It was always packed. You got Bon Jovi, you got Hugh Hefner, you got, Slash, all these guys were there, and it was a Sunday night, and it was like sexy, and it was like cool, and there's porno stars, and Mark Maron was running around on coke, and he was like annoying. Mark Maron was really annoying back then. You know what I mean? I mean, now he's like the cool fucking smart older guy, I guess, but back then he was like this cokehead that
all
was
those
like
days,
annoying.
You're on tour with Sam Kinison.
And he was terrible, by the way.
You have your own.
He had to go back to New York. They said, get him out to New York. And he went to New York and he shaped up. And he
sobered up.
He sobered up. So, but yeah, there you go. I mean, Mark Maron.
And all those years that you're like playing rock star with Sam Kinison and you have your MTV show. And I imagine it must have been a really fun existence. In all those years, did you ever like hook up with a chick because you were famous?
I don't think so.
Not one fan.
Not one. No.
Man, that's so surprising.
That's it, dude. If we do that episode, that's a whole other episode. You got to call me back for that one. I'm not going to do that all here. But no, it was.
We've had some fun together.
No, it was. I like being known for the.
Paulie and I have kept each other's secrets for a long time.
Has what?
We've kept each other's secrets for a long time.
I remember going up to my house in the jacuzzi with you at my house.
That was fun.
You remember?
We should have invited chicks over.
We did. We had chicks. No, we had chicks. No, but the thing with Jeff is like, I always knew he was gonna make it. But when he first came out, it took him a while. It took you a while. It did just happen right away. And he was like, like a lot of other comics. I had already made it. Yeah. So he was kind of like, I don't want to say frustrated, but just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And he had his other house. Now he's got a bigger house, and obviously he's on Netflix and he's selling out everywhere. He's in. Yeah. Jeff is in. So, but before he wasn't in, and I always love seeing people like him make it. I always knew he was going to make it. I always knew he was going to make it because I always thought.
Why?
I just thought you were funny. I'm like, this guy's fucking hilarious. And you had your own thing. And it's just going to take a one thing. He did so many Comedy Central things.
Yeah.
You know, so far trying to figure out.
Yeah, the roast.
The roast thing. And it just didn't. And then finally, the last, about 3-4 years, right? And then boom.
Hard to say.
Just, yeah, I don't know what
it never feels like a boom. You know, you had a boom as a teenager, but
you
for me,
did,
it never feels like a boom.
Look at your fucking house, though, dude. I mean, there's a boom in your house.
I think of it as a step by step, joke by joke, gig by gig. You know, I never think of it. There's no boom of like, wow, I'm on Friends. Now
I'm trying
rich
to
and
think.
Famous.
I think it was like some of the bigger roasts that took off for him. I don't know.
Yeah, we roasted Bieber and Charlie Sheen, and those like crazy zeitgeist roasts were really big. And you know, to me, it was always not about selling out. I'll be at Stand Up Live in Phoenix next week, but it was mostly about the respect of your peers. And I always had that, even as an open micer.
Absolutely.
Even at the open mics, I was like,
but even
the other open micers are watching me, which means they must respect me or be curious.
But even like Ari Shaffir is a great example of someone that was trying to figure out. He was frustrated.
Right.
Really frustrated. And then his podcast took off, and then Rogan kind of knighted him and took him under, and now he's fine. But, you know, everyone goes through it. You know what I mean? Look at Tony Hinchcliffe is a great example of a guy that's pounding. You know what I mean? He's pounding, and he's breaking through.
I always tell Tony that he's going to have a different path, kind of like the way I did. With the roast is my lane. Maybe, you know, he'd be like, thank God I have Kill Tony. I'm like, dude, Kill Tony is a great lane.
Yeah.
Like, it's way cooler than a lot of other shit he could be doing.
Absolutely.
People love that show. I sent Bob Saget there the other day, and Saget loved it.
Yeah.
And then he's got the band with Jeremiah Watkins.
Yeah. No, it's
such
great.
a fun show.
It's great. So I'm happy for him, you know? It's
and
great.
all these guys, you know, Tony, they were all doormen working for your mom, working at the Comedy Store. Started out parking cars, answering phones, a lot of these people.
Yeah.
And
he was just on the open mic and just calling. But anyways, you know, my point is that I don't know what my fucking point is, but
one of the biggest honors.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One of the biggest honors was, you know, I like to throw parties, and I had a backyard barbecue in my old house on Stanley Avenue, and Paulie texts me, come out to the front yard. So I'm like stoned. I'm probably wearing a kimono or a bathing suit with my balls hanging out. And I don't know what's going on. I got a cocktail, and I walk outside, and Paulie pulls into my driveway in his Escalade, and he brought Mitzi Shore, his mom, to my house, and it was like, wow. It was like having the Queen of England come to your bar mitzvah. You know, it's like, here I am having a comedy party, and Mitzi Shore shows up. So thank you for that memory.
She sees you come out, and she goes, what the fuck is this? Get me out of here. Who's this weirdo? Let's go. No, I brought during, you know, the I don't want to say the final years of my mom. I took care of her for fucking 15 years, dude. Yeah. It was a lot of... You know, it's hard.
Ed and I know what that's like.
Yeah, so it was important to me to always drive her around.
She was sick in her later years.
Yeah.
She had a terrible disease that slowed her down a lot.
Yeah.
And you looked after her.
Because you can't stay in the house all day. No. You know, you got to get out.
It was important to me, you know, to drive her. It was like an important thing for me to stop by, no matter what the fuck I was going on in my life. I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing. I'm going to take my mom for
a drive. Look what she gave you.
Yeah.
What if she just stayed in the pickle business? You'd be the pickle guy now instead of a Midwest sensation.
But it wasn't about that. It was about, that's my mom. Yeah. I don't care what she gave me. It doesn't matter to me, you know. My point is that was my mom.
Did you make her laugh? Son. Was she a good laugher, or would she just kind of go, that's funny?
No, we laughed all the time, yeah. So I would drive her around, you know, and I said to myself, I knew you were having a party. I think you invited me to your party, and I knew my mom couldn't walk, so I wasn't going to, like, bring her to the party and, like, take her into the party, and plus she'd be embarrassed. She doesn't, you know, she had her pride. She didn't want people to see her in that capacity. So I would always pull up. I roll down the window. I'm like, give her a kiss. Yeah. You know, kiss her hand, or, you know, and you said really nice things to her, and then I left, you know, and it was a nice moment that I did for both of them.
I'm going to find that picture and post it when we post this episode.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. Wow, Paulie, such an interesting life, man. Will you just tell us one great, like, crazy rock and roll story? I don't care if it's about sex or drugs. You can think about it for a second. It'd be so fun to hear.
Okay. I had to say one of my craziest sex orgy crazy stories, and it's still to this day. I mean, I was on MTV, okay?
When that really, really
When
meant
it
something.
fucking was awesome. You know, everyone. It was the focal point of youth. That's all kids would watch. They didn't watch Saturday Night Live or this or that.
Imagine all of Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat
YouTube,
and
yeah.
all that in one place.
Yeah.
You know, everybody went there. Whether you were into rock and roll or hip hop or whatever, MTV had it all.
Yeah, it was the one. It was the one place. So I was on tour, and when I would go on tour, I usually didn't have people sitting. It was always standing festival seats. So I'd always have bands open for me.
Right.
So they would go out, like the Spin Doctors would open for me, and they would go off and do 45 minutes,
That's
and then
ballsy.
I'd come out and I'd do 45 minutes, and I'd bring the band back out, and we'd do like 5 songs. So I'd like stage dive and sing, and you know what I mean. I would do my thing, yeah.
Right.
And we were playing we were playing the Warfield Theater.
Stage dive on
Yeah,
on your show?
my jokes always. Yeah, I would do. Oh, bro. Whoa, bro. That type of shit. It was. And Joel Gallen will tell you a lot of these stories. He was there. Yeah.
Joel's my friend and neighbor who also directs and produces the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the MTV Awards for years.
I gave him his first directing
and
job.
my Comedy Central roast.
But I gave him his first directing job.
Is that right?
My first HBO special, which was produced by MTV, which has never been done before.
Wow.
MTV produced. They were like, Chris Albright's like, we want to give you an HBO special. Michael Rotenberg is like, great, MTV has to produce it. So it had never been done before. Those were like enemies. MTV and HBO did not work together.
Right.
Yeah.
So Joel Gallen was my executive at MTV, and we said we want Joel to direct it. So Joel directed it, and it was called Pauly Does Dallas, and it was awesome. But so it was the Warfield Theater, and it was the early '90s, and it was me, my road manager Nick Light, the brother of Rob Light, who runs CAA, who used to, be Rico Suave's fucking road manager.
Oh,
hilarious, right?
That's amazing.
Right. So fucking.
So he knew how to deal with guys who wear bandanas.
So we're at the Warfield, and Nick calls up. Nick calls the. He calls the. What was it? The Au Pair Theater, which was it was a strip club / whorehouse. Mm-hmm. It's in San Francisco. It's still there to this day. It's so he calls up and he says to the manager, he says, we're coming to town. We want to have some Lisa girls dance with us on the stage. That's when I did my one song. I did Lisa. Mm-hmm. So I go on stage. We do the song. The girls are dancing behind me, and then after the show, we go backstage. And we're backstage, and there's probably like, I'd say 15 girls. And there's me, Nick Light, and my road manager, Warlock, and my security guard, George.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting there. And one of the girls says, what do you want us to do? And I'm like, you eat her, you suck her, you lick her, you lick her. And I kind of like jokingly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they take off all their clothes, and they just start fucking each other. The chicks, all the stripper girls, they just started. And I'm like, whoa, babes, cool, relax. We can't do that. So then I'm like freaking out. But they're all pretty hot. They're like 9s and 10s.
Right.
So then after that, we take them all back to the hotel on the bus. I used to have a tour bus. And then, I took 5 girls to my room. Nick took, 3 girls to his room. Warlock took, you know what I mean?
Jeez.
And that was a pretty cool, experience.
evening.
Yeah. But I used to, I would, it was like my thing, hooking up with chicks on the road. It was like do the show, do the merch, eat the dinner, hook up with a chick.
Right.
It was just normal. But girls.
And these chicks would follow you around. I mean,
screaming.
Nobody was sliding into your DMs back then. There was no social media. What was your Dice would have his guy Club Soda Kenny, like go out in the audience and bring them backstage. Like, what was your MO?
Well, it's just pretty obvious.
What was the method to the madness?
It was pretty obvious. All the girls wanted to be with me.
So they would just follow you?
Well, they would find a way. It was just like a groupie. You know, it's just like you've seen rock videos. It still goes on to this day. I mean, it's not like anything different. It's just, girls' dream is to be with someone. So it's like you're giving them their dream. Yeah.
I love it, man.
Joe Gallen, talk to him. You should have him on this fucking podcast. That'd be great.
That is a good idea.
He'd be great on this fucking podcast.
That would be really
great.
good.
He's got some fucking stories, that guy.
I don't know if he'll tell them, though.
He'll tell him. I'll be, you know what? If he's here, have me with him, and I'll be like the sidekick and make sure he speaks.
I love it. We do a segment on this show called Touchy Subjects. We're hoping you'll stick around, where we go over some stuff in the news that other shows might not want to touch.
Oh, wow. Okay, that sounds good.
All right, this is a treat. Touchy Subjects. Time for Touchy Subjects.
Touchy subjects.
All right, Ed, what's our first touchy subject?
I mean, our first touchy
I
subject.
can say a first touchy subject.
Let's hear it.
The other night we were at the Comedy Store in the back, and I wanted to take a picture with Dave Chappelle, and Jeff's like, no, he's about to go on. I'm like, dude, it's Dave Chappelle. Let me fucking take a picture with him. Him and Tony got all weird, and I still got my fucking picture. That was touchy, right? You were weird. You're like, dude, like, I don't get to see him all the time.
No one likes taking pictures right before they go on.
I understand that, but fuck, it was uncomfortable. But I'm a fan.
I know Dave a long
I'm a fan.
time. I know Dave since he's a teenager.
He doesn't like it.
It's not that he doesn't like it, but when look, I'm telling the owner of the Comedy Store how the Comedy Store works.
No, but I'm really a fan.
But when you're out in the back and away from the fans, look, I
can't help it. I'm obsessed.
Well, we're all fans of Dave.
Yeah, I want to shellac his penis. Is that his penis behind your head?
Yeah.
It was so nice of him to model for us.
That's hilarious. He told me to come visit him in Dayton, Ohio. He said to come out there. I'm good. Jesus Christ.
Dave's a good guy.
Yeah, he's great.
That was a great.
It's a great night, huh? The photo was nice too.
Great photo.
It was great, yeah.
And I'm glad you took it because I love having it. Now,
okay, back to touchy subjects.
No, it's fine.
No, that was a good touchy subject. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I know what he's saying because I don't like it at a certain time either. But
yeah.
He also runs. I've had experiences where he's gracious.
Yeah, he is.
He'll take the picture and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to start a line. And he's elusive. I mean, you don't see as many pictures of Dave as everyone else because he's not on social media. So even if people have pictures of him, they can't tag him. So you never see the pictures.
So he doesn't have any social media?
No.
It's great.
It's crazy.
He's lucky.
You want to hear what he has to say, you have to go see him. It's brilliant.
That's what Maz said. Maz said that Maz was on my podcast last week, and he was like going, fuck, everyone else has to do social media to promote shows. Chappelle doesn't have to do social media.
No.
That's crazy.
No, well, he's different. He's like...
Well, would it work for us?
Doing social media?
People would just go, well, I didn't know you were in town.
Right.
You came to Peoria, no one knows you're here unless they follow you. If they follow you.
Yeah.
I guess he just figures... I remember seeing a clip, it's probably on YouTube, of Buddy Hackett talking to Johnny Carson. And he mentions that he's going to be in Massachusetts somewhere. I think he says Boston or Worcester or something. And Johnny goes, what theater? And Buddy's like, I don't know, but the people there will know. Right. Like, he didn't need to say the theater. He's like, if you live up there, you'll figure out, you'll wait for the Sunday paper, and it'll be a listing, and you'll see what theater Buddy's at. So, maybe that's what it is. If Dave wants to put tickets on sale in Bangkok, the promoters there know how to reach everybody. He doesn't have to do it directly. Yeah. So it creates a mystique where when he walks on stage, it's the first time you're hearing from him about whatever's happening in the world or that town or why he's there, and it gives some
I remember him in
velocity to his act because everything's interesting.
Yeah, I remember him I remember him. Where was it? It was on that Eddie Murphy movie, and he had a small part, and he played a comic.
Nutty Professor.
Yeah, he played a comic.
Women be shopping.
Yeah. But even then, like, what year was that?
94, 95, 96.
If you look at him then and you think about him now, like, I would have never thought, like, that kid and that cameo in that movie is going to become the biggest comic ever in the world.
Yeah.
Like, he's
I knew.
You did back then?
Yeah.
Really?
I knew because Dave he's younger than me, but I recognized right away that he was going to be around forever. And he was already starting to make miracle jumps, miracle leaps within our own little New York, Boston Comedy Club, Comedy Cellar group.
What about...
He already had jumped into like a Mel Brooks Robin Hood Men in Tights, and he jumped onto Arsenio. He was passing everybody, like leaping over us.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, this is kind of this is an example of anything's possible in show business.
Did you think that Kevin Hart was going to be as big as that he is now?
No.
Yeah.
You know, he has the work ethic thing. He just made himself amazing.
Yeah.
He always had the raw talent, Kevin, but he literally, like an artist, carved himself into an undeniable movie star.
Yeah. Because I remember it was probably about, I'd say, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I'm performing at the Improv in Addison, and I go down to the Arlington Improv because I'm doing a one-nighter there. And Kevin Hart was by himself sitting in the green room. You know, he had like the early show at the late show. It was one of those type of things. He was just by himself. And this was before he became who, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that happened kind of quick. His thing?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like he was working his way up from his early 20s, day by day. I don't think any of these things are a coincidence. I don't think any of these things are.
No, it's work. I mean, it's work.
Yeah, and that's Kevin Hart's big brag all the time. He has it written in his gym, in his house. His gym, it says, everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to do the work. So when he goes to the gym at 5 a.m. before shooting, that's what he looks at.
Right.
Whereas I have a big neon sign that says "Enjoy the process," which is not making you get up early for know-how.
But that's a good saying as well.
It is for different reasons. You know, I'm a big believer in reinforcing positive energy.
Cool, dude.
I met some elephants this week, and they have thick skin.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Oh, wait. No, I saw it with the seals. Where were you with the seals?
Yeah, elephant seals also I saw.
Where'd you go see the seals?
If you drive up the highway, drive down from Monterey, it takes a really long time, especially if you have an electric car like I do, because you have to charge every few hours. But there's a family of elephant seals that live on a beach, a public beach. Wow. But they're somehow protected, and they built sort of looking platforms out for tourists. And I don't know if you ever seen the colony of bats that live under the Congress Bridge in Austin, the Ann Richards Bridge there. There's literally 1 million or so bats, maybe more, that every night at sunset fly out from under the bridge. People drive over the bridge all day, all night. But for some reason, when these animals, and the same with these elephant seals, they come up to the shore, and it's what do they call it? Breeding season. Mating season. So they're fucking, they're fighting, they're nursing, and they're giving birth. There's like 1,000 of them.
And where was this, in Monterey?
Halfway between Monterey.
Were you there working up north?
No, I took my lady up there for her birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you play Sinatra on the way? Hey, da 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 da. Romance.
Fly me to the moon.
Right.
I can't afford the license fee for this song.
So I used to see you at the Playboy Mansion all the time, remember?
You're thinking of Jamie Foxx, I think.
Oh, okay. Jamie Kennedy.
Oh, maybe.
That was a fun run we had there, huh?
Sunrise, sunset. Swiftly go the years. Paulie, we've had a lot of good times together.
I know. We have.
What do you think the best one ever was? You can say it.
Man.
I'll throw one out there.
Okay.
We roasted Larry Flint.
Oh, God.
At the Friars Club.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
And I never had this happen, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but it was one of those amazing nights, and there's a lot of stuff from that night.
It was great.
And I'm not going to ever say. But, and not involving me, just other people there. It was a wild, crazy, movie star-filled roast of Larry Flint. It was just an amazing, hilarious party and night. But Larry King, who I love, at the very last minute, he was supposed to MC it. He dropped out, and there was like some switch-ups, and I think Norm Crosby hosted it, and they were like, you know what, we really need a bang at the beginning of the show. Jeff, you're supposed to go last. Go first. So I'm like, do you remember this?
Kinda. I remember the roast, but I don't know exactly.
And you put me on first in a roast. No one really knew the roasts the way they know them now. Like, I murdered. Like, it was crazy. It was like, imagine all the old people in Beverly Hills at the Friars Club suddenly turned into, like, Def Jam 94. Like, they were bugging. I was so funny. I was killing Larry Flint. And, he's in a wheelchair, and I'm like, I was like, I called him Humpty Pussy. I said, Larry, you're the opposite of... Oh, no, Woody Harrelson was there. He just played Larry Flint in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, Woody Harrelson, you're like the opposite of Larry Flint because you're dead from the neck up.
Oh, right.
And then later that year, Larry ran... this is Larry Flint, the hustler publisher, a very, very wealthy guy, very outspoken guy. If you don't know Larry Flint, look him up. Big supporter of free speech in America, and they made a fantastic Oscar caliber movie.
Great movie.
Starring Ed Norton, Woody Harrelson, and Courtney Love, Larry Flint. And Larry ran for, like, I think, governor later that year of California against, I think the guy's name was Gray Davis. I could be getting this wrong. But he stole my line, Larry. He did eventually tell me. I saw it on the news one day. Larry's like announcing his candidacy, and he's like, Gray Davis is the opposite of me. He's dead from the neck up.
Oh, that's great.
And Larry would always invite me to, like, I wouldn't go to the dirty hustler parties because that wasn't really his thing. He would, with his wife, they would have, like, dinner parties at the Four Seasons and stuff and just talk politics. He'd have, like, me and Bill Maher and stuff like that because he loves to talk politics. And so, yeah, he used my line from that night. But it was a great... And I remember I killed so hard, I made it very hard for the next bunch of roasters, and I felt bad about that. I mean, you were fine. You know how to work a room. But I remember... Do you remember anything from that roast?
Mm-mm. I mean, I remember you being there, and I remember the roast, but I don't remember how it went.
Yeah.
I mean, how did it go? I don't know.
Well, I remember roast very well, and that one's still a little bit of a blur because I had so much fun that night. But... my buddy Aaron Lee and I basically wrote it because he had known Larry, and his first job was writing comedy stuff for Hustler magazine, my buddy Aaron Lee. So I just remember it being really a fun night. I know. Luna, hold on a second. You need to stop. It's too distracting. I'm taking this. If anybody is wondering what the noise has been, Luna the doggy is eating a tennis ball like we just told her she's going to be put to sleep in an hour, and this is her last tennis ball. So chill the fuck out, Luna.
Give her the black dildo. To touch you on that. See what?
Here, Luna. You want this?
I think you're setting a bad precedent there.
I guess we have time to do a couple of touchy subjects, Ed.
All right. Do you want to talk about the impeachment?
Briefly.
Because it's so long and it's so boring. They're doing the thing now. This is the part of the impeachment where they write down the question and then they hand it to 3 different people, and then they
Yeah.
read the question. They're not even allowed to ask the question.
It's like a bad game
even though
show.
they're all like sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
It is really
the
hard
Chief
to
Justice
watch.
has to read the game show, the questions like he's hosting a game show.
Who's Chief Justice? Which one is he? The guy in the robe in the background?
Yeah,
What's his name?
John Roberts.
Oh, okay, right.
And it's like theater. The whole thing is more like a school play than it is any kind of real debate. Nobody's saying anything that is provocative to their own party. They're completely playing a game of
Chess.
but all their moves are pre-planned. The whole thing is orchestrated. But they each get to take turns and votes, and it goes nowhere. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, the bottom line is we need the Republicans need four people need to flip on Trump, and that's the bottom line, right?
right,
And that's it.
a trial without witnesses. What even is that?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But whether that happens or not, even if the witnesses come and they say Trump's a scumbag and he's an asshole, and
Yeah.
you still need 4 people to flip.
I think that still could happen,
But you got Romney and you got the 3 other.
Romney's going to flip.
Yeah, and you got 2 girls and there was 1 other guy.
I mean, it's the best move in the
think that's
world to flip, because then you can run for president next year.
100%.
You know, if you're a Republican and you flip, if Trump loses or even if he wins, you can run for president because both sides are going to like you. And so it's like a good move to flip.
Yeah.
This would be the perfect time to do it. If you're self-interested, like politicians should be, like we think they are, that would be a strategic move to flip. It's also incredibly boring, everything that's going on. Have you been watching any of it?
Yeah, I watch it, yeah.
Is it interesting to you, or is it like, I mean, I like politics.
No, because at this point, he did bad things. But even if he did bad things, he still can't get voted out unless you have the majority.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how many times they admit that he did bad things. It doesn't really mean anything because it's just it's a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you see Dershowitz yesterday?
I saw some of it.
Basically,
he's
just
hilarious.
like
Well,
you
he's
could
a
just he
scientist.
could do it because he's working his own self-interest.
Well, he's like a scientist. He's a scientist, like attorney.
yeah.
He comes from this weird kind of like hippie philosophy thing that kind of makes sense.
He got OJ off.
He did
And
get
he's
OJ.
protecting the president right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What do they have on him? Oh my gosh! Where he's got a.
He's part of the ring, probably.
I mean, if you closed your eyes and imagined the Alan Dershowitz that I grew up with, he'd be the one trying to make the Constitution strong and clear, and he wouldn't be muddying and gaslighting everybody with what it really says. He wrote a book called Chutzpah that I wrote right after college, really about being brave and standing up for yourself. So I'm not surprised that he's being over the top with this and doubling down on his ideas, but it is a very odd turn of events.
He's definitely challenging himself because he knows he's on the wrong side. So he's like, "Fuck, how am I going to pull this off? Let me see if I can dig deep and flip something around that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean? That fucks with people."
He just
There was
likes
an
the
article
challenge.
a couple years ago where he complained and it was made clear that he was ostracized by his fancy Harvard, wherever it is, the Berkshires or whatever, because of his association with the Jeffrey Epstein issue. So he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Of course.
And
So was the
so
president.
he was ostracized by that whole liberal enclave. And what does he do? He starts to move over to the Trumpers where they don't give a shit.
Well, he's probably getting paid a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I bet he's getting
think
paid
about-
nothing. No way. I bet he's getting paid nothing.
Really?
I bet they have something on him or he owes them a favor.
Oh,
and,
interesting.
and it's like, you know what? My life's better with these people in power. I'm going to go help them out. And I'm the one person in the fucking world that can sling this shit. I've been preaching the Constitution since the 70s. And I think that's where it's at. I think all this stuff, I think Trump You know, why he kills these terrorists. People go, he does it to start a war, or he does it to make himself popular so that he gets reelected. I think it's because he owes some favor to somebody who wants this thing dead, who wants this guy blown out of, these terrorists that he knocks off.
Well,
I think all of this is like high-level business.
Well, either way, what's going to happen is going to be interesting. Because at the end of the day, he's either going to get impeached or he's not. And if he gets impeached, that'll be fun to watch that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, literally, like, pack his bags and, and the footage and him saying, I don't, I'm, because I always thought that he would quit before he got impeached.
I really thought that was going to happen.
You know what I mean? So if they impeach him, he's probably going to say, like, I didn't want to be here anyways. I was trying to help you guys.
Yeah.
Not a chance. He doesn't quit anything.
Yeah.
Never stops anything in the middle. It either goes bankrupt or but he burns it down every time.
Yeah.
There's no one. He's not quitting anything.
Even if they impeach him?
Especially.
Really?
Especially.
So even if 4 or 5 Republicans vote against him and they say you're out, he's still not going to leave?
He goes to, if they kick him out of the White House, he goes to Mar-a-Lago with his own security and he
starts what?
Whatever. I don't know.
You don't think they're going to try to put him in prison with all his other cronies?
No, he won't go to prison.
Nah, never.
Really?
That's the deal. It's like, I'll leave peacefully, but you drop all this shit.
Half of the security details are his people.
Yeah.
It's not just Secret Service in there. It's like half his guys too.
Not anymore.
He's the only.
Not anymore.
Yeah, he's the only president that looks younger as time goes.
Yeah, people underestimate him. He's gonna quit. No, he's gonna keep going.
Yeah, he loves it, right?
Seems like it.
Yeah, so we'll see.
All right.
What's next?
Regular listener Dirty Shane gave us this one on Twitter. A Brooklyn man has tried to register his beer as an emotional support animal. This is good for us because our listeners are emotional support humans. Here's a quote from the dude. I travel from upstate to Brooklyn a lot, and on the bus they say it's a federal crime to smoke or to have an alcoholic beverage unless prior written contest. And I always wondered where you would get the consent. And so he filed to get his beer acknowledged as an emotional support dog. He said it helps us manage his social anxiety disorder. The registration holds no legal limit, though, and apparently it didn't stop the man from having a beer while waiting for the bus this week. Nothing has happened to him, and he's confident enough to do it again.
Emotional support beer. Do you guys have anything that you can't travel without?
My pillow.
Your pillow?
Really?
Yeah.
You have an emotional support pillow?
Yeah.
Or an actual neck support pillow?
No, emotional support. I like to travel with my pillow that I sleep with in my bed.
Really? Mm-hmm. You're not scared to get germs on it and stuff?
I am the germ.
Oh.
Right? No, I like it because, it makes me feel like I'm still kind of home when I'm like staying in a fucking, a Marriott Courtyard or some shit.
Who gave you that idea? That's a good one.
I just been doing it for years.
It's a good road tip for comics.
Yeah.
Bring your own pillow.
Yeah, because think about when you go and check in a hotel, sometimes the pillows are too thick, they're too thin.
Gross.
You know what I mean? Whatever. So you got your own pillow, and then you put the hotel pillow in between your legs. That's what I do. Yeah, that's like my body pillow.
Next time you use a hotel pillow, think of that.
I also like to bring I like to bring a candle.
Next time I'm at the La Quinta Inn in Madison, Wisconsin, I'm like, I wonder if Paulie put this pillow between his legs.
Well, the good part about having a pillow is if you don't have a girlfriend, kind of substitutes as a girlfriend.
Absolutely.
There you
sticking
go.
a pillow in between your legs.
I'm not a big blankets guy, so you can wrap the comforter up, and it's almost as long as a human.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to the guy who can't live without his emotional support beer. I'm with you, bro. Thanks for the listener suggestion, touchy subject. I'm really enjoying this. All right. There's no getting around it anymore, folks. It's time. There's no getting out of it. It's hard, but this one we have to do it. It would be we'd be remiss if we didn't pay our respects. It's time for Kobe Bryant, rest in peace.
unless you've been living on the moon, and even there, I'm sure you heard Mr. Bryant passed away this week. There's a lot going on. LA is trembling. It's crazy. I've never seen a king of a city go down like this before. There's a street being named after him in Los Angeles, and LeBron James got a tattoo. There's murals popping up everywhere you go. The buses say R.I.P. Kobe on them as they go by. It's been an interesting thing to witness, being in this town when this happened.
It's a tough one. Kobe had the best crossover in L.A. after Caitlyn Jenner. There was a move-on petition that got over 2 million signatures to change the NBA logo to Kobe. I doubt it will happen, though, because right now it's a Jerry West is in the logo. Oh, wow. And that's the last stronghold white folks have on the NBA. I bet only half as many people would be upset if he played for the Clippers. Did you know Kobe has just as many Oscars as Martin Scorsese? And just like Kobe, all of his work involves shooting. Thanks for that one, Ed. Kobe and Shaq had a high-priced rivalry. One could say that Shaq had a Kobe beef. Rest in points, rest in power, rest in PPG percentages. The great Kobe Bryant.
LeBron, take it to the hoop. Bring it back home all the way. You know what to do, LeBron. Many years ago, when LeBron won the championship in Cleveland, he said, what did he say? This one's for you, Cleveland. What do you want to hear next year? This year? June? What do you want to hear?
This one's for you, Los Angeles.
Yeah, this one's for you, Kobe.
Ah.
This one's for you, Kobe.
This one's for you, Kobe.
Yeah, he's going to do that. I'm telling you.
He seems pretty charged up.
Oh, no. It's going to happen for sure. Yeah, it's like, he's... Because they were already on a roll.
They're great.
They were already on a roll, and now it's going to be fucking, like, steamroll USA. I mean, I think fucking LeBron is going to play his best for the next 6-7 months. His best games.
I can't believe he beat Kobe's record the night before.
Yeah.
That's so weird and crazy.
That is a weird thing.
Yeah, it's heavy. Sad, but, that's how it is.
I was riding by the Staples Center, and Shaq was out there. I didn't really see him, but I could see the crowd. Shaq was leading them in a chant of Kobe, Kobe. So cool.
It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So last question: how do you get through the hard times when you're down about your life? You lost your mom and your dad last year, and let's try to help people in our last part of this last question. Well,
for me, I definitely, like you said earlier, I think it's very important to mourn. Very important to mourn when people die around you, but it is as important not to mourn, because the people that died around you, they want you to mourn, but they don't want you to mourn forever.
Yeah.
And I think so. It's really, really important to kind of be, mourn, but then also don't become depressed and like sad because they don't want you. So I think that's important. I hear from my parents saying that, like, hey, you know what? It's okay. So as far as the other stuff, I think it's really important, and it's kind of cheesy, but I think it's important that you look at your life about what you have, not what you don't have. I think the fact that we're not imprisoned, we're not, we're healthy. We can walk. We can put food in our mouths. We could, obviously, and all the other stuff is extra. We have great jobs. We, make people laugh and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you don't want to compare yourself to other people. I think that's really hard. You look at other people, for me, other comedic actors, they're always working and they're always like, oh, this guy's starring in this. And like, I love acting. I miss acting. But that's not supposed to, for whatever reason, it's not supposed to be. So just be happy with where you're at. And, and obviously, you strive and you work, you try to work really hard to get better. And I have a movie coming out. You don't want to play victim. You know what I mean? That's like the worst thing in life. Is the worst thing in life, like you said it earlier, and I really, that rang true, is you never want to be a woe is me. You know, woe is me, woe is me. Like everyone always, like people hit you up for money and this and that. It's like, you know, you want to help people out, but it's like, you know, you created that. You know, we all created where we're at in our life.
Right.
Period. By the choices that we made. You know, and you have to live by those choices and don't be a victim to them, and be, hey, you know what? We've all made bad decisions, but you know what? Maybe at the time when you made those bad decisions, they were good decisions, you felt. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's important to look about what you have, what you don't have.
That's great.
And also know the fact that we're not going to be here forever. And the Kobe thing is a great example of the fact that who the fuck knew that was going to happen? Yeah. And it's so fucked. And it's, you know, and you know, we all are not going to be here. And when my parents died and my sister died and Gary Garfinkel died and all these people died around me, I'm like, fuck, I look at my watch, I'm like, this is a wrap at some point. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a wrap. Yeah. You know, and so, I don't know. I like to take care of myself. I go to the Korean spa every day. Me and Bobby Lee, we go to the same Korean spa. I like to go to the gym just about every day. You know, I try to eat good food. I get colonics. You know what I mean? I go get massages at least once a week.
Really?
At least.
So you look after number one. You look after yourself.
My health, yeah.
I got to get better at that. I don't do enough exercise. I don't go to the Korean spa.
You have to, because what it does, it's not about your body. It's about your mind. You know, it's not about like, oh, I want to look. Of course, we want to look better. Everyone wants to look better. But at the end of the day, you just feel better because there's blood circulating and there's, you know, and massages, especially, dude, you fucking travel on planes and you're doing those shows and people are grabbing at you. Yeah. You got to get massages. I have a guy come over once a week, at least once a week. Really? And he fucking just does it and gets in there and I feel great. And he saved my life. You know, he saved my life. Yeah. And that's like really, I think the most important thing, especially when you become 50 years old.
Yeah. Love your positive attitude, Paulie, going into your 52nd birthday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you. Love you, bro.
Appreciate life. Thanks for coming over to the bunker, man. You're a good pal.
Thanks,
we did get you an emotional support human t-shirt.
Thank you.
You're part of our emotional support human family now, Paulie.
Perfect.
Come by anytime. Hang out with us.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. PaulyShore.com for all things Pauly Shore. Thanks for coming by, buddy. Guest House coming out this fall. Keep your eyes peeled for it. And Pauly Shore's Random Rants podcast. You can find that on YouTube, Instagram, Pauly Shore, Twitter, @Pauly Shore. Roastmastergeneral.com for all things Jeff Ross. Emotional support human shirts are available on the merch page. Go get those. Show your support. Along with I'm Offended by People Who Are Always Offended, baseball tees, and mugs, man.
We still have mugs?
We still got some mugs. We got like 6 mugs left.
Are you serious?
Yeah, let's get rid of these mugs.
Don't you want to see my ugly mug on an ugly mug?
Absolutely. I want to wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, and stare at fucking at the General, bro. General's Tao's chicken, dude.
Bumping Mike's is
Paulie
back
waits
on
till
the
the plugs to be funny. Great.
Bumping Mike's vinyl. Pick it up on Amazon. That's a really cool thing to own.
Vinyl. What year is this podcast? We doing this in the 70s?
That's the only way people buy music anymore. Bumping Mike's back on the road. You're getting Milwaukee, Chicago, Des Moines, Kansas City, Morristown, Terrytown, and Munhall. All before the end of April, man. You guys are kicking it. Dates are on
Munhall, Pennsylvania. You got to give them some hint of what that is.
You're right, Munhall, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I don't know why
Homestead Music Hall.
Yeah, I don't know why I assume people would just know Munhall. That's on me.
Attell loves these random ass fucking towns, man.
You also got some solo shows coming up next week. You're going to be in Phoenix for 3 nights: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the 6th, 7th, and 8th. First night you're going to be at CB Live. And then the other 4 shows are going to be at Stand Up Live, all in Phoenix together. So
what about the Tempe? Is that a Sunday, or do you do the Sunday in Tempe?
I think we're going to have to say fuck Tempe.
Yeah, it's not going to happen this time. Right? That's the next time.
I broke the food sales record at the Tempe Improv.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I have the fattest fans in show business.
Keep an eye on Jeff's calendar because more is coming. Check Jeff out and Pauly out on Cameo. Dealing them out all over the place. Pauly's killing it on Cameo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You sent me a cameo. I'm gonna respond to it when I get home. You and your girlfriend are like, "Yo, we're big fans of Random Rants. Can you please put a shout out? It's my birthday, so I'm gonna do it when I get home."
Great. Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Rate and review Thick Skin with Jeff Ross on iTunes. It helps this show out a lot.
Rate me, my friends. Rate me.
You can email us at thickskinwithjeffross@gmail.com.
Especially if you have Super Bowl tickets.
And make sure you watch the show on YouTube. It's just as fun. You can check us out there and listen to the whole show and peek in whenever you feel like it. Twitter at ThickSkinCast. Instagram ThickSkin with Jeff Ross. Real Jeffrey Ross on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at EddieTunes_ Twitter. EddieTunes regular Instagram. And check out my other podcast, The Brighter Side, on the Last Podcast Network. That's it, baby. Thank you. That's right.
Dude, you need Ed, bro. He's your caboose. Right? Yeah, the engine. I'm in the engine. Yeah, he's the engine.
I'm both, man. I love the caboose.
He's the food car. I'll see you at the store, buddy.
Later, dudes.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Life is hard, but don't worry. We're getting through it together. Damn. I'm in New York, talking the talk. I'm doing the podcast, full tank of gas. I got Cousin Ed and Gary too. I got the thick skin blues. Having a drink. My armpits stink.
Hey.
I'm feeling so good, I'm in the hood. I don't want it to end. I got the thick skin blues.
Thick skin blues.